Hey guys, Scott here with the next part of the new content. Now I wanted to go over all of the new perks. This is not going to be just the Blight. I want to talk about Felix's new perks as well. And I kind of want to analyze what I think the use is going to be of them, how good they're going to be overall, and if we're going to see people actually use them. So first, let's look at Dragon's Grip. After kicking a generator for the next 30 seconds, the first survivor that interacts with it will scream, exposing their location for 4 seconds, and they get exposed for a minute, and the increased ranks decrease the cooldown. So this is decently useful, but I don't think it'll be useful for that long because you have to think about the math behind it. So you will get at least one use out of this, I guarantee. Will you get it down with it? I'm not sure. It's almost like Haunted Grounds at that point. Against even a decent team, once they see a generator is sparking and they touch it and they get exposed, they're going to know, okay, he has Dragon's Grip. So now we need to, wait 30 seconds before he kicks, or, after he kicks a gen before we can touch it again. Which may seem like a long time, but it's actually not that much lost time due to how much slower gens regress when you kick them compared to how fast survivors repair them. So you're basically going to save 7.5 seconds of time because that's how much regression there would be in the 30 seconds. So it's really not that much wasted time. So smart survivors are going to know you have the perk. If you're in the area, they'll probably just not take the chance. If it's just regressing with Ruin and something that's actually a threat where it's regressing very fast, this perk doesn't apply. So overall, it's not that big of a deal. So good teams are going to see that you have this perk and play around it, and you'll probably get one use out of it for sure. But that use doesn't even guarantee that you're going to get a hit. 60 seconds of exposure is a lot, and you see where they are. So if they're near you, there's a chance you can get a hit with this. So I wouldn't say this perk is bad. It's actually kind of decent. It's sort of like a more consistent, less volatile Haunted Grounds. Haunted Grounds, you can catch people in really bad positions because it just happens and they don't really know when it's going to happen. But with this perk, they are the ones that control when it activates. So it's not like everyone's going to sit there and, have a timer for 30 seconds every time they see you do a gen. People are going to screw up. So this perk is not useless. It can actually have some use. Would I ever use it in a build? Probably not, but it's not a bad perk overall. The next one is Blood Favor, a hex that gains the favor of the entity when blood is spilt. When a survivor is hit, all pallets within a radius of 16 meters are held in place, so you can't drop down pallets. And again, it just decreases the cooldown for increasing ranks. This is not a good perk at all. The whole thing is good survivors. The thing is, you need perks against good survivors. That's the thing. If you're going against babies, you don't need any perks. So perks that help you beat babies do nothing. So this perk is not good because every time you hit a good survivor, they're going to gain 20 meters of distance on you immediately. And the perk is now useless. It's really, really bad if you get hit to just stay in the loop and just use your speed burst to just run around the loop. You just gain no distance. You gain so much distance in that 2 seconds of speed burst that it takes the killer 20 seconds to catch back up. So 16 meters, 20 seconds, the math, it doesn't add up. As long as the survivor just gets hit and runs away from the loop, you will have no real use of this perk at all. The only thing I can see this being useful for is if the survivor goes down at a pallet and you hit them, you can't be pallet saved against, I guess. But, that doesn't have... good killers are going to know when that's coming regardless, so I can't see myself ever having that be useful at all. So, yeah, this perk is not good because survivors are going to run straight after they get hit, use their speed burst, go away from the loops that you just blocked. It doesn't end up doing anything. The only other example is if, there's a lot of people in the same area or something like that. For some reason, there's just 2 people at the same loop or something. One guy doesn't get a speed burst. So I guess I don't know. It's very circumstantial, and it's just not very good. Hex Undying. Basically, this makes it so when it's active and a different totem is cleansed, a different hex totem is cleansed, it shoots the hex over to that one, and you lose all your tokens, obviously, so you can't abuse things like Devour Hope and things like that. And also, all survivors are revealed when they are near a totem, which is more useful than you'd think, because sometimes survivors run near totems without even realizing it. 2 meters is 6 feet. It's, it's not huge, but, sometimes there's totems next to gens. Sometimes there are totems just on the way to gens and things like that. So I actually ended up seeing people a lot more than I thought I would just by them not even knowing a totem was there. So it's really useful. It's really useful for making perks like Ruin last longer. It's useful for making perks like Haunted Grounds have multiple uses. So I can see the synergy with other hexes It's almost like you would just use this instead of Through All the Hunt or something like that. Now, this means you have to devote 2 perks to hexes that can be destroyed, and if this one gets destroyed first, well, there goes that. But, it plays the hex game, which is high risk, high reward, and getting to, keep Rune up, getting to use Haunted Grounds multiple times. All that sounds really, really nice. That's actually very, very useful. Obviously, with Devour Hope and, Lullaby and things like that, you're not going to keep your tokens, so it's not going to be that great. But for those other perks, I think this is actually really good synergy and probably the best perk that he has. Dragon's Grip would be second best, and Blood Favor would be third best. But Hex Undying, very, very interesting, and I might try throwing that on a couple of builds if I'm using totems, because it seems pretty good. Next, let's go over the Survivors perks. Felix, who is a sexy lad, by the way. Visionary is basically like Deja Vu. I think it's a little bit better than Deja Vu, in my opinion, because the only time I would ever want a perk like this is maps like Midwich or Hawkins or Larry's, where it's just like a clusterfuck of no direction, and sometimes you actually waste a lot of time. Even good players waste a lot of time looking for gens. So in those maps, this perk could be good. That's about it. That's the only maps that perk would be good on. I would never use this otherwise. Desperate Measures, you refuse to fail even during your Dark Tower. This is basically reverse Thanatophobia. The more people that are injured, the faster you heal, instead of the slower you heal. And also the faster you unhook. I think people underestimate unhooking speeds. Unhooking speeds are very important a lot of the time. When you have a killer that's very close to the hook and you need to go for a direct hook save right in the killer's face, having 50% faster unhook is pretty nuts. And you can have up to basically 56% faster unhook with this. So that is extremely fast. So what I'm thinking is, like, you have 3 survivors that are injured, you're not injured. You go to, save in the killer's face. He hits you once, now it's 4 stacks of it. You unhook the survivor 60% faster, and you're both kind of gone. One of you would probably go down, but it's going to make you split up way better. So that's good. And then we just have this simple, 60% increased healing speed if everyone's injured, which is a lot. If you stack that with Botany Knowledge and you have everyone injured, that is, you have permanent will make it, basically. I could see this perk being actually very annoying against killers like Oni that rely on you being injured all the time. Whereas killers like Plague, it's not going to do anything. So it's circumstantial. Against some killers, it'll be very, very good. Some killers, it's not going to do much at all if they have a one-shot or things like that. But the killers that have to hit you twice, and killers like Oni that rely on injured survivors and things like that, this perk will probably be actually pretty annoying to go against, in my opinion. Combine that with medkits too, oof, that is going to be tough. The other perk is Built to Last. You know how to get the most out of your tools. Once per trial, a depleted item will refill 50% of its charges after 10 seconds. This is actually kind of good, in my opinion. I know you might think about Streetwise, and you get more use out of that, but I think this is actually better than Streetwise. And the reason is, think about the synergy between all of this, like, healing. Like, we'll make it, and I'm sorry, Botany Knowledge and Desperate Measures and a green medkit with, like, increased healing speed, and then you get 50% more charges of that. You can fully heal yourself in 8 seconds, like 4 or 5 times in a match, which is nuts for dismantling pressure. So I think this item, or this perk is actually being undervalued at the moment. I think it's actually going to be really annoying to go against when survivors bring in very good items. Even like Commodious toolboxes with good add-ons are now going to get, 50% more use, which is a lot of time saved on gens and something like that. So I think very sweaty teams with 4 medkits, 4 toolboxes, things like that, might actually throw this on and get a lot more use out of their very, very strong items. So I actually am low-key a bit worried about this perk, just because of the potential to destroy pressure, like by having a ton of uses of a very good medkit or something like that. I think that's my biggest fear. A lot of uses of a very good medkit. So overall, that's probably the perk I'm most scared about. Desperate Measures being the second worst. Visionary is absolute garbage. So it seems like there's kind of like a trend. There's like one actually decent perk, one all right perk, and then one garbage perk on both sides. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the perks so far. The killer himself, still underwhelming, but I just heard from McLean Stream, he's one of the developers, that they're running an outdated build on the PTB and they've already changed things. And also, this is a killer that is apparently underwent the most changes out of any killer that they've ever worked on, which, if you remember my last video, I talked about the slam thing and how I thought that was a kind of like a vestigial mechanic where it had a purpose, but now it doesn't anymore. I think that is probably what's going on there. There was probably a lot of internal conflict on what they wanted the killer to end up doing. So we have this weird, like, non-themed killer. That I don't know. Well, when I think of an alchemist, I don't think of just smashing my face into walls. It's just not what I thought of. So I think there's a lot of intellectual debate on what they wanted to do with the killer, but hopefully he'll be getting buffed before release. As far as perks go, not the worst. I think we can use some of these. So that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. See you next time.